AB 1575 will be perfect, if that's okay with Mr. Chair.
Yes, and thank you for taking the big podium.
Yes, thank you. I was just sitting down in another committee, so apologize. Well, thank you, Mr. Chair and members, for allowing me to present AB 1575. This is an omnibus comprehensive bill that builds on the work that we accomplished last year when we passed our groundbreaking and historic Medical Marijuana Regulation and Safety Act. And I want to start by saying I accept the committee's amendments requiring a Board of Equalization seller's permit and a valid local license permit or other authorization in order for a collective to operate for profit. And I also accept the committee amendment placing the Bureau of Medical Marijuana Regulation under the sunset review of the Business and Professions Committee starting in 2023. So I want to thank the chair and your outstanding staff for your hard work in helping get to these compromises on the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for accepting all of the committee's amendments.
Of course, my pleasure. So last year, when I worked with some of my colleagues, Assembly members Cooley, Joan Sawyer, Lackey, and Wood, we set out to try to create a stronger, more effective regulatory regime around the medical cannabis industry. And we did that by embarking on a stakeholder process that was transparent and invited all of the different stakeholders to the table. And when we were able to get that bill off the floor and signed, we knew that our work had just begun. And one of the things we had to do right away was do a cleanup in AB 21, which struck an erroneous implementation date, which drove local governments into a rush to regulate or ban. And AB 1575 continues that work, addressing a number of different areas, such as allowing medical cannabis businesses to operate as for-profit businesses, as they do in other states, refining licensing categories like that for a dispensary that can have a storefront or not, in which case it would only deliver, but it would still need a brick and mortar facility, creating a pathway for research and development, creating a process that would help address probably one of the biggest challenges that still faces the medical cannabis industry, that of banking, and quite a few others. So AB 1575 continues to evolve. We continue to invite stakeholders to the table. We get new ideas every day, and we're excited regarding where this bill is. We're in a transformative time in the state with respect to medical cannabis, and AB 1575 is an important next step after the MRSA bill that we got passed last year. Normally, I would have my joint authors with me. They, like many of you, are trying to be in 5 places at once presenting bills, so they're not here today. They will be later on in the committee process. With that, I'll open it up to questions, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Let me ask for testimony and support.
Yep.
Please.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, my name is Hezekiah Allen on behalf of the California Growers Association. We are here to offer our support in concept. The bill is very broad and expansive, and as the author points out, covers a lot of very important pieces that are sort of next steps from last year. One of the underlying challenges in regulating this industry is the lack of information available about it. We think that the research provisions are particularly important in helping to address some of those questions and inform better policy moving forward. Additionally, I'd like to highlight Section 19326, providing clarification on transport, allowing growers to move what would otherwise be an ag waste product sort of between and within without going to the distributor. And Section 19334, authorizing delivery. Very important to clarify these two pieces on the transport provisions. Also, on behalf of the California Cannabis Delivery Alliance that did register support, like to just verbalize that today. Thanks to the author, we look forward to continuing to engage and take this next step forward. Encourage your aye vote today.
Mr. Chair, members, Marvin Pineda on behalf of the United Cannabis Business Alliance Trade Association. Our members consist of manufacturers, cultivators, and dispensaries from Southern California. I want to thank Mr. Bonta for clarifying the for-profit, not-for-profit language. Our members are in full compliance with Measure D requirements, and costs will start to increase as the state develops regulations, so this will help us to continue to comply with all the regulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Chair, members of the committee. Jared Ficker on behalf of Harborside and Flourish. We're in support of AB 1575, provided the author continues to work with us on some clarifying amendments needed by 10A licensees to address some nursery activity to develop targeted medicine. So we thank the authors for their leadership and appreciate and support the bill.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Viviana Becerra on behalf of the California Cannabis Operators League and CalCan Holdings in support. We'd also like to thank all the authors on the bill and their staff. The Assemblyman was right. New ideas come up every day, so we look forward to continue working with the author. Thank you.
Yep. Additional testimony?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Don Duncan with Americans for Safe Access in support of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Paul Smith with the Rural Counties Association. Also speaking on behalf of CSAC and the Urban Counties Caucus. We do not have a support position, but I will tell you we are working towards that effort. We'll be providing Mr. Bonta, his staff, and the authors a series of amendments from counties to what we believe improve the bill and address some of the concerns that are left over from last year's package. We plan on offering those amendments shortly to the committee and obviously the authors, again, trying to work to a support position on this bill.
Thank you. Please.
Mr. Chair and members, Rand Martin on behalf of Consortium Management Group. CMG operates one of the largest dispensary and cultivation operations in the city of San Jose. We do have a supportive amended position. We've shared with the member the two issues that we have. Number one, we're very, very concerned about still concerned about the 5% ownership threshold for the applicant. We'd like to see that raised to 20% if possible. The second concern that we have is relative to whether the issue on criminal penalties for extraction, which is the future of medical cannabis, is sufficiently exempt from criminalization under MRSA. We'd like that clarification as well in the bill. But with those two things and all the other wonderful things in the bill, we would be in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional testimony.
Yes, thank you. Amy Jenkins with Platinum Advisors on behalf of the California Cannabis Industry Association. We do have a supportive amended position. We applaud the author for his ongoing leadership in this issue, and we've been working very closely with staff. The concerns that we have echo those just expressed by the previous supporter of the legislation, and we'll continue to work with the author to address our outstanding concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me ask for additional testimony and support. Okay, let me ask for testimony in opposition. Please proceed.
Chairman and members, I am opposed unless amended to this bill. We need a reliable vehicle to fix a problem which has come up with the state's program. Now, the problem is trying to abolish collectives and set a 100 square foot limit on patient activities for cultivation. Now, this is unconstitutional, unworkable, and adverse to public safety. I presented material to the members to try to explain the circumstances here. I'd just like to read one paragraph. I'd like to say also I am the unnamed opposition in the bill analysis.
Thank you. If you have
my name is Bobby Harris.
If you have a statement you'd like to submit to the committee
I'd just
as
like
well,
to read
we
a
can
paragraph.
submit that.
This abolishment of collectives and the setting of the limit here is based on a spectacularly erroneous and bizarre premise that this initiative intends its patients who cannot reasonably feasibly cultivate, which is the vast predominance of such patients, should resort to criminal sources of access. Absent this clearly absurd premise, collective conduct of patients lawfully engaged through conventional freedom of association is implicitly inherent to satisfaction of initiative intent. Transportation activities are not explicitly immunized under the initiative, yet courts have found that transportation activities reasonably related to medical needs are essential to patients' possession and therefore immunized. Similarly, collective patient activities are very often essential for possession unless access is a criminal source. Initiative subsection B2, its public safety caveat, persuaded voters about its intent of resisting criminal conduct. Why would it insist its patients so resort? My police chief in my community, when I asked him, do you think Prop 215 expected the patients for 20 years to have to rely on criminal sources of access? He said, no, of course not. So we have a conflicting premise in this situation, and that needs to be corrected in this bill. It's our only reliable vehicle to protect the patient's interests here. So my amendments are reasonable, and I would ask that they be considered. I invented local governmental implementation of this initiative back in 97, 98, when no one knew what to do, and there was a lot of confusion. I have a long track record of vision in this area. I just ask for some contemplation on the circumstances here. We can do justice, and you can still have a state program. I very much appreciate your consideration.
Thank you for your testimony. Let me ask if there is additional testimony in opposition. Hearing and seeing none, let me turn it to members on the dais for questions. Mr. Wood, please.
Actually, not a question, just a comment, and then appreciate your work, appreciate the opportunity to work with you on this issue. Obviously, it's hugely important, and as we know from our work together a year ago, who would have dreamed that we would be where we are, and all the issues that we are now working on to clean up the work that we did last year, so to speak. So obviously, have tremendous support for the efforts, and look forward to continuing to work with you on this really important issue. Thank you, Mr. Bonta.
Thank you, Dr. Wood. It's a pleasure to partner with you as well.
Thank you. Additional questions from members of the dais? Hearing and seeing none, let me just address some of the concerns. Thank you, Mr. Bonta, for accepting the committee's amendments. This is a due pass as amended. I know we are working together on still certain provisions of this bill. I know we are still working out issues on the for-profit model. We are also still looking at the advertising aspect of this as well in terms of the penalties and whatnot. And I believe another thing on the seed law, but look forward to working with you. Thank you for taking the amendments. This is a measure that is due pass to banking and finance. And with that, would you like to close?
Yes. Once again, thank you, Mr. Chair and staff, for your help. Look forward to continuing to work with you as this bill continues to evolve, when we strengthen it as much as we can with every opportunity that we have. And we made history last year as a legislature, and this year is an opportunity to continue to build on that work and continue the excellent work that we did last year. So thank you for the opportunity. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
All right. Thank you. With that, Madam Secretary, we need a motion on the bill. Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Wood, seconded by Ms. Eggman. Madam Secretary, call the roll.
Salas?
Aye.
Salas, aye. Bro?
No.
Bro not voting. Baker? Aye. Baker, aye. Bloom? Campos? Chavez? Aye. Chavez, aye. Daly? Dodd? Eggman? Aye. Eggman, aye. Gatto? Aye. Gatto, aye. Gomez? Holden? Jones? No. Jones not voting. Mullen? Aye. Mullen, aye. Ting? Wood? Aye. Wood, aye.
Okay, that motion has 7 votes. We will hold that open. It's on call. Okay, Mr. Bonta, if you'd like to proceed on file item number 3, AB 1807.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair and colleagues and staff. On AB 1807, I want to start by accepting the committee's suggested amendments, and I want to thank the chair and staff once more for their hard work and input in helping strengthening this bill. AB 1807 would give real estate licensees in California the opportunity to petition the Bureau of Real Estate Commissioner to remove an online posting of a disciplinary action. Under existing law, the Bureau is required to maintain an online database of licensees who have been subject to a disciplinary action related to their real estate license. While that database serves as an important transparency and disclosure tool to the public, it's important to note that licensees don't have an opportunity currently to have outdated disciplinary actions removed from the online website. This has turned out to be problematic for a small class of licensees who have been rehabilitated, had no violations for a number of years, and pose no threat to the public. And this bill simply gives an opportunity to real estate licensees to make their case to the BRE Commissioner. With me to testify in support and to answer questions is Stan Weig with the California Association of Realtors.
Mr. Chairman and members, I'm Stan Weig with the California Association of Realtors. We're the sponsor of the measure. Some of our members have come to us and pointed out that in their interactions with the Bureau of Real Estate, there's no possibility for them to remove an antiquated citation that shows against their record. Ironically, the member's previous bill was sometimes one of those felony convictions that shows on a record that's 20 or 30 years old, but it can't be taken off the record because even though circumstances have changed, there's been rehabilitation. If you can convince the commissioner of that, the commissioner pats you on the back and says, thanks for coming out, but I can't change anything. We'd like to give them the opportunity to change things if the cost of the petition is covered by the petitioner, if the commissioner concludes that the public is not endangered by the change. And with the amendments, which we appreciate your staff helping us work out, we think that this bill does that.
Thank you. The bill has a motion by Mr. Breaux, I believe a second by Mr. Holden, if I heard correctly. Additional testimony and support. Okay. Hearing and seeing none, let me ask if there is testimony in opposition. Hearing and seeing none, let me turn it to members on the dais for questions. Ms. Eggman, please.
I understand the point of this, but why no? Most of the boards who post things online, there's a time, like after 10 years, people can apply to take them down, or after 5 years. Why so open-ended? Like somebody could, have some kind of disciplinary action, get it taken care of, and then it'd be gone within 6 months?
I know that you did some very important work in this area for our medical providers across the state, and I was reviewing that while we were working on this. I believe it's after 10 years, then you can petition. So after the disciplinary action has been a minimum of 10 years, then you can request. So there is, I guess, a time requirement in the sense that it would be posted for 10 years before you can ask for consideration for removal.
Good. And that was one of the committee amendments.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you. Additional questions from members on the dais? Hearing and seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Bonta, for taking the committee amendments. Would you like to close?
Thank you for your consideration, colleagues. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Okay, members, this is due pass as amended to appropriations. We have a motion by Mr. Breaux, seconded by Mr. Holden. Madam Secretary, call the roll.
Salas.
Aye.
Salas, aye. Breaux. Aye. Breaux, aye. Baker. Aye. Baker, aye. Bloom. Campos. Aye. Campos, aye. Chavez. Aye. Chavez, aye. Daly. Dodd. Eggman. Eggman, aye. Gatto. Gatto, aye. Gomez. Holden. Holden, aye. Jones. Jones, aye. Mullen. Mullen, aye. Ting. Wood. Wood, aye. 11-0, measures out.
Okay, that measure is out. It's on 11-0. We'll hold that roll open. Thank you, Mr. Bonta.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, colleagues, and staff.
All right.
Mr. Chair?
Yes. Let's go ahead and at this time, as we bring up our next author, let's go ahead and move the consent calendar. That is file item number 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and file item number 19. Madam Secretary, call the roll. I have a motion by Mr. Breaux, seconded by Mr. Jones. Madam Secretary, call the roll.
Salas.
Aye.
Salas, aye. Breaux. Aye. Breaux, aye. Baker. Aye. Baker, aye. Bloom. Campos. Aye. Campos, aye. Chavez. Aye. Chavez, aye. Daly. Dodd. Eggman. Aye. Eggman, aye. Gatto. Aye. Gatto, aye. Gomez. Holden. Aye. Holden, aye. Jones. Aye. Jones, aye. Mullen. Aye. Mullen, aye. Ting. Wood. Aye. Wood, aye.
All right. That has 11 votes. That's enough to move forward. We will hold that open for additional members to move on. Members, we are now moving on to file item number 12, Assembly Bill 2330 by Assemblymember Ridley Thomas. Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr. Chair.
And seconded. It also enjoys support from both sides.
Wonderful.
So thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you. I present file item 12, AB 2330. It simply adds that the Bureau of Real Estate should collect information on brokers who work for other brokers and publish it on a website. With that, I would respectfully request an aye vote, and we have witnesses that can attest to the merits of the bill.
Witnesses in support?
Mr. Chairman and members, I'm Stan Wigg with the California Association of Realtors. We're the sponsor of the bill. This is designed to give clarity to consumers who want to look up who basically want to find the boss at the agent that they're working with. And if that person is a broker, when they go to the website, the license verification website, it doesn't tell them who the supervisor is if they're a broker, only if they're a salesperson. This would broaden it so you can find out who the boss is, whether or not they're a broker or a salesperson. We ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Any other witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition? Hearing none. Questions from the dais? Seeing none, Mr. Ridley Thomas, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Respectfully request an aye vote.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second by Mr. Jones. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Motions do pass to appropriations. Salas. Bro.
Aye.
Bro, aye. Baker. Aye. Baker, aye. Bloom. Campos. Aye. Campos, aye. Chavez. Aye. Chavez, aye. Daly. Dodd. Eggman. Aye. Eggman, aye. Gatto. Aye. Gatto, aye. Gomez. Holden. Aye. Holden, aye. Jones. Aye. Jones, aye. Mullen. Aye. Mullen, aye. Ting. Wood. Aye. Wood, aye. 10-0.
Measures out 10-0. We'll hold the roll open for additional add-ons.
Mr. Chair, I'll move, if it's appropriate, AB 2066 by Mr. Lackey.
Second.
Item number 6 is
heard that earlier
AB
as a
2066 by Mr. Lackey has been moved and seconded. Clerk, call the roll.
Okay. Let's go ahead and open the roll on. Let's lift the call on item number 6. This is Assembly Bill 2066 by Mr. Lackey. You have a motion by Mr. Jones, a second by Baker. Let's go ahead and call the roll.
We started as a subcommittee.
Yep. The motion is due pass to appropriations with amendments.
Salas.
Aye.
Salas, aye. Bro.
Aye.
Bro, aye. Baker. Aye. Baker, aye. Bloom. Campos. Aye. Campos, aye. Chavez. Aye. Chavez, aye. Daly. Dodd. Eggman. Eggman not voting. Gatto. Gatto, aye. Gomez. Holden. Aye. Holden, aye. Jones. Aye. Jones, aye. Mullen. Aye. Mullen, aye. Ting. Wood. Aye. Wood, aye. 10-0. Measures out.
Okay, that measures out on a 10-0 roll call. On 10-0 vote, we will hold the roll open for additional members to add on. Let's go ahead and move. Do we have another item on call? Okay, let's move to item number 14, Assembly Bill 2581 by Mr. Medina. Do I have a motion for that bill? Moved by Mr. Bro, seconded by Ms. Campos. And file item number 14, members, is due pass as amended to appropriations. Madam Secretary, call the roll.
Salas.
Aye.
Salas, aye. Bro.
Aye.
Bro, aye. Baker. Baker not voting. Bloom. Campos. Aye. Campos, aye. Chavez. Aye. Chavez, aye. Daly. Dodd. Eggman. Aye. Eggman, aye. Gatto. Aye. Gatto, aye. Gomez. Holden. Aye. Holden, aye. Jones. Mullen. Aye. Mullen, aye. Ting. Wood. 8-0. Measures on call. Jones, aye. 9-0. Measures out.
Okay, that measure has 9 votes. It's sufficient to move beyond this committee. We will hold the roll open. At this time, I do see some authors in the audience. Let's go ahead and let's see who signed in first. Assemblymember Lowe, if you'd like to proceed. Members, this is file item number 2, AB 1751. Please proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and members. First off, I'd like to begin by thanking the chair and the committee for working with my staff on this bill, and I'd like to accept the recommended amendments noted in the analysis.
Thank you.
Now, this bill would address the current problems arising from the California Department of Justice implementation of the California Automated Pawn and Second Dealer systems by allowing plain text descriptions to be submitted and adding statutory language to make it clear that this system does not expand beyond current law, that the information is required to be collected or reported by second-hand dealers and pawnbrokers by making reports electronic. I believe that this is a fundamental misunderstanding. The previous issue at hand is related to the statutory limitations on reporting from a previous bill. The other required reports have long wanted a way to make their daily reports electronic and to avoid expensive and inefficient paper reporting systems that has been in place since 1954 when shopkeepers kept a journal of such transactions. After many legislative attempts to create a uniform electronic reporting system, the industry took it upon itself to fix this problem by raising their fees themselves from $24 to $300. And this was back in 2012. Determinations by the Department of Justice have made many statutory authorized forms of identification unusable for such reporting purposes. And with me here today is retired Los Angeles County Sheriff Lieutenant Mark Stevens and Bill Duplessis representing the California Pawnbrokers Association.
Thank you. Please, testimony and support.
Good morning, and thank you for hearing me. My name is Mark Stevens. Earlier this year, I retired as a lieutenant from the Fraud and Cybercrime Bureau of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. After 34 years, during that period of time, from 2001-2004, I was a sergeant that was in charge of the pawn detail for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. We had a lot of issues with the reporting of pawn transactions on paper because we had somewhere in the neighborhood of about 40,000 transactions a month that we had to deal with. I became very heavily involved in the legislative process towards this electronic reporting system back in 2001, and that included AB 1178 and also SCR 63. Prior to the passage of AB 391, Assemblyman Pan, that was in 2012 that it was passed, there were several stakeholders meetings that were held with private industry, members of law enforcement, the Department of Justice, and private industry being not just pawnbrokers and secondhand dealers, but also coin dealers and antique dealers and so forth. There were a lot of concerns regarding the legislation, and in these stakeholders meetings, to get this bill through and to get this thing started, what came out of that was two things. The two key things that came out of all of that was first that the JUS 123, which is the paper report pawnbrokers used for years and years, was to contain the information that's on that form. That's what was to be reported. And the other thing was that there would be an electronic reporting system that would be uniform and statewide, that would consist of uploads from the pawnbrokers at the time of the transaction. Could be done by batch, but still would have to be reported daily, as it always has been. And that information would be uploaded to what we were referring to as a pawn cloud. This is actually a document that was put together by Department of Justice outlining that. There was a wish list. We had several things from the law enforcement community that would have been nice to have had in the bill, but because of privacy concerns and concerns of the various industry stakeholders and so forth, we settled on what's in the JUS 123 would be reported, and that it would be reported to a cloud that law enforcement would be able to search. And that search was to be of the free-form text that was currently being used by the pawnbrokers and secondhand dealers describing in detail what those items were, and that we could search that free-form text for rings, watches, and so on. The other issues that we were trying to get to work with would be the ability to search that data in different manners. But the original agreement that we made in those meetings prior to the passage of 391 was that the original information on the pawn ticket, or that JUS 123, would be what was uploaded, and that law enforcement could deal with searching it however they deem necessary.
Thank you. Additional testimony and support.
Mr. Chairman and members, Bill Duplessis, representing the California Pawnbrokers Association. AB 751, unfortunately, is a very needed bill. We have approximately 12 at this point in time. It's an urgency statute, and the reason for that is we have 12 jurisdictions at this time who essentially are going into licensed, legitimate, law-abiding citizens, businesses, and saying by virtue of the CAP system being operational, that we must stop using the paper forms, which we're using in the interim period before the system is actually accurately operational, and their licenses are being threatened with revocation. Very serious, obviously. And this whole issue actually, let me stop for just a moment, because the committee staff put an inordinate amount of time in to really understand this issue, and I wanted to point out our thanks that they did take such pains to understand what is actually a very simple issue in one respect, but can be very complex when you get two versions of what happened. But these revocations are being threatened for a system that is not operational. When the committee staff, for instance, saw a demonstration a week or so ago where 1,400 reports went in the batch load, which is into the CAP system, about 140 of them were accepted. The rest of them were all rejected. They were rejected for a variety of reasons. For instance, the identification. Arbitrarily, this system now won't take forms of identification which are statutorily authorized, actually in the BNP statute itself, because they don't have, for instance, an expiration date or an issuance date. Well, many forms of acceptable identifications in the BNP code for pawn and secondhand transactions don't have issuance dates or an expiration date. They will kick them back for that reason. And I might add a very dangerous situation occurs when a report is kicked back, because when a report is kicked back from the CAP system, the report is not deemed to have been made. It is a pawnbroker's responsibility, for instance, to report. It's a legal obligation. For them to perfect the lien in the property, their ownership interest in the property, they have to have complied with the law. Well, this, in fact, would make that non-compliant. So a tremendous number of things are at risk. I might point out that the bill is opposed by both the California police chiefs and the California sheriffs. And we've tried very hard to work with them and with the Department of Justice. And I might add that recently, in the last 3 or 4 weeks, the Department of Justice has made some tremendous strides in bringing these issues to bear, and we have been having a great deal of success in resolving some of them, or at least theoretically resolving them. Unfortunately, the objections stated by, for instance, in the California police chief's letter of opposition, they name several things that they want to have in that system. And the unfortunate reality is there is no statutory authority for us either to collect or to transmit them. Things like financial privacy considerations obviously are still in force. And I'm not attaching blame to anyone in this, but the mindset has become that because the system is capable of doing all these things, that all of these things will be forwarded to law enforcement for crime-fighting purposes. The problem with that is you need statutory change to do that. And it's become a very, very significant problem. I am very optimistic because of the change in attitude and the ability to deal with some of these issues that DOJ and industry can make some very credible progress very, very quickly. And I wanted to add the chairman's suggested amendments. We have no problem at all with them. Very happy to accept them, but I think we are making some real progress. So,
Move the
Good.
bill.
Thank you. The bill's been moved by Ms. Eggman, seconded by Mr. Daly. Let me ask for additional testimony and support. Please proceed.
My name is Jan Schneider. I'm a San Jose pawnbroker and legislative chair for the California Pawnbrokers Association. I urge your aye vote on this bill. We need to be able to keep taking care of those in our community that need our services, and in order to do so, we must be able to report the transactions. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional testimony and support. Hearing and seeing none, let me ask if there is testimony in opposition. Please proceed.
Chair and members of the committee, Jonathan Feldman with the California Police Chiefs Association. We are opposed to the measure. In 2012, when AB 391 was passed by then Assemblymember, now Senator Pan, we were optimistic that we were going to have a statewide system where we could search for stolen goods through each and every pawn shop in our state, because that's where a lot of them end up. And that's one of our primary tasks, is to recover people's stolen property. And not having a statewide system with consistent terms, consistent reporting requirements, was making it very difficult for us to actually recover a lot of these items. What DOJ has built in the CAP system is an incredibly useful tool to us. It allows consistency, easily searchable, and it's been built to assist us. It's the best tool that they could have developed for us, and we are extremely grateful for the work that they put in the last several years in doing so. The problem that we have with kind of rolling it back and taking it back to the JUS 123 forms is that consistency is gone, that we are still going to be at a point where we're looking at different descriptions for similar items. Searching it is still much more difficult, and that is our primary concern. The concern about that the proponents of the bill have raised about additional reporting requirements, that is something that I'm sure that we could work out in clarification. We don't want to be shutting down legitimate businesses. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about a crime-fighting tool that's useful, that we want to see implemented fully. So we would request a no vote.
Thank you. Additional testimony in opposition.
Yes, Robert Sumner with the Attorney General's office. Just to clarify, I'm actually not here in opposition. There just isn't a third set of chairs. I'm really here just to make sure that it's represented that DOJ is committed, with or without legislation, to working out a solution with the pawnbrokers. Obviously, I say all the time on behalf of the IT wing of the Department of Justice that we take customer service and satisfaction very seriously. But at the same time, what we currently constructed was built in careful collaboration with the law enforcement that uses the system to combat the theft of property. So we remain committed to working with both the Pawnbrokers Association and with Assemblymember Lowe to make sure that whatever we do, we are appropriately balancing both the regulatory burden on pawn shops while at the same time maintaining the tool as a effective law enforcement system. So I'm here to answer any technical questions, but also just to commit our willingness to work together.
Okay. Thank you for your testimony and your willingness. I think at the end of the day, what we want are databases that can be useful. Not only the Police Association and the pawnbrokers, but when discussions with Assemblymember Lowe, it sounded like a technological question to me. I would ask the question of why we couldn't have certain pull-down menus that ultimately would correspond with a code section or a classification with the Department of Justice. For instance, if you had jewelry, a pull-down of jewelry, then a pull-down of earrings or necklace, that would correspond to the appropriate classification, something that would make it a little bit easier. And so with the amendments, I know we're going to get the Department of Technology involved, and so hopefully we can have a database system that's not only searchable but actually useful and is responsive to the needs of law enforcement and also to the pawnbrokers to identify these stolen items. So thank you, Mr. Lowe, for accepting those amendments. Let me turn it to members on the dais for questions. Questions for members on the dais. Hearing and seeing none, I know we have a motion by Ms. Eggman, a second by Mr. Daly. This is due pass as amended to appropriations. Look forward to Mr. Lowe, you continuing to work on this and working with all the stakeholders involved so that we can reach a resolution, something that benefits everyone and the residents of California. With that is due pass as amended to appropriations. Madam Secretary, call the roll.
Salas.
Salas, aye.
Salas, aye. Bro.
Aye.
Bro, aye. Baker. Baker not voting. Bloom. Campos. Aye. Campos, aye. Chavez. Aye. Chavez, aye. Daly. Aye. Daly, aye. Dodd. Eggman.
Aye.
Eggman, aye. Gatto. Aye. Gatto, aye. Gomez. Holden. Aye. Holden, aye. Jones. Mullen. Aye. Mullen, aye. Ting. Wood.
Okay, that measure is out on a 9-0 vote. We will hold the roll open for additional members to add on. Thank you, Mr. Lowe. Ms. Burke, thank you for your patience. Let's move members now to file item number 13. This is Assembly Bill 2372.